Hi, I'm Tim, and I'm on a journey to go to a ton of parks in the Boston area. Today I'm in Malden, walking towards several parks along roughly the 101 bus route on the T. And we'll see how these parks are and continue the journey to take a walk through the Boston parks. I will do this by grading using a 5x5 system. That's 5 categories with 5 points each. What are the 5 categories? There's 4 A's and a P. First is access, that's how easy is it to get here. Second is area, how safe is the neighborhood and do I feel comfortable being here. Third is ambiance, that's going to be how beautiful is the park, how nice is the park, things like that. Fourth is amenities, that's what sort of features are here, like bathrooms or benches or paths. And lastly is preference, which is just how much I personally like the park. That helps balance things out from paper to reality. And with those 5 categories, like I said, there'll be 5 points each. There'll be a quarter point scale, which makes it easy to give a grade out of 100. My first parks are going to be MacDonald Stadium and Callahan Field. That's where I'm heading right now, which is right near the T station. So it should be interesting to see what it's like there. I haven't been to really anything particularly athletic yet, so we'll see how that fares at the park in general. And I'm excited for this. It's Halloween, October 31st, and it's about like 1:30 in the afternoon. So that's a Friday. And we'll see how busy it is. Probably not very busy on a work day, but. So I'm now in Callahan Park. It's not far from the train station. It's kind of nice. It's pretty empty right now though. On a Friday afternoon makes perfect sense. Yeah, nice view of the train from up here. That's the commuter rail going over. The orange line also goes over from there, so it's actually pretty. I like it. A bit loud. But the height difference really helps with the noise. Callahan Park is basically this baseball, softball field right here. And then there's the stadium over here, MacDonald Stadium, and that is a bit more fancy. Here at Callahan Park, there is something very interesting I was not expecting to see. And that is this fitness court right here, which is very intricate, honestly. I'm not someone who knows a lot about gym workouts, but this is still very impressive. And I'm genuinely stunned by how cool this is and that it's even here to begin with. I mean, if you want to talk about unique amenities, this is definitely a unique amenity. I'm stunned to see this here. It's apparently part of some nationwide campaign. Located a bench right here. This beautiful little bench for sitting. If you're wondering what the view looks like, this nice way to watch is a softball game. And I have located a sign that does in fact claim this to be Callahan Park. To be clear, this is the only sign I've seen yet that actually says Callahan Park. I mean, it says it on Google, so that's why I've been calling it that, and this definitely confirms it. But that's crazy that this is the only sign. There's no like welcome to Callahan Park sign at all. So if we ignore the track for a second, this is basically the only pathway in the whole place that's paved. Like, I've just been walking around on the grass. Now granted, the parking lot's over here. I came from over there towards the stadium because the T station is right there, but that's interesting to know. While not a full-on bathroom, it's nice to know there's a porta potty here, which does appear to be functional. So that's still a leg up on a lot of places, honestly. At least from the outside, it's not the prettiest of turf fields, although it did just rain recently. So you can walk under the bleachers. And while I'm walking under the bleachers, I'm going to say that this is a very interesting park. I'm surprised by the fitness thing. And it's kind of cozy and cute. I mean, the turf is clearly not in great shape, but I doubt they maintain it during the off-season. I think that's probably what this is. Okay, so to emphasize, how close is this to the train station? I'm now on the other side of the park, and there's the train station. Like, you can see the signs from the train station up there. So the access is still going to be a 4.75, mostly because of this busy street. So 4.75, totally justified. And there's even some pressure to make it a 5, but I will leave it at 4.75. Here is the beautiful MacDonald Stadium sign. And here's the field house. There are some pretty cool memorials here. Oh, that ain't impressive. I don't know what it is. For ambiance, I'm going to go with 3.25. And the reason I'm going to give it at all at 3.25, despite the fact that this place looks pretty messy and boring, is because of that. And honestly, those train views are really, really nice. And I actually like them quite a bit. Otherwise, there's really nothing here for views. It's in its own little pit. The field right now doesn't look very good. I'm sure it would look better during a season or whatever. But field's okay. There's just nothing to see here other than trains. I keep trying to fix my hair, but the wind is just killing me. So just please ignore that. For area, I think I'm going to go with 3.25 here out of 5. And the reason is because it's Malden. I'm not a huge fan, but it is right by the T-stop. No problem getting over here. Nice enough. Not much here, but that's what happens when you get out more into the suburbs. So, 3.25. For amenities, it gets really tough because there's this outdoor gym, and that is amazing and unique and cool. Genuinely. And then there's pretty much everything else. There's a track, which is usable. There's a porta potty, which is nice. There's hardly any paths. If you don't count the bleachers, which you can sit on, to be fair. There's no benches, from like the dugouts or whatever, which makes it tough. If you're here for the outdoor gym, 5. If you're not, 2. So, the outdoor gym basically alone, along with the porta potty, which is very much so convenient, is at 3.75. That's what I'm going to say on amenities. 3.75 out of 5. There's also a field house here, but that's not really public accessible, locker room wise or anything. So there's still the porta potty for bathrooms, which is fine. So 3.75. That's what we're going with. And lastly, personal preference, which is tough because, as we all know, I love the train view, but everything else is just kind of about this place. Not really somewhere I'd love to go much, except to watch the train, which is cool, but I'm sure I could find some other place to watch the train. Although it is uniquely positioned to be very pretty. Still, 2.5 for personal preference out of 5. It's very okay. And perfectly fine as a local park. Not worth a trip, especially not a repeat trip. Maybe worth one trip just to see that train thing. But that's what I got. 2.5 out of 5 for personal preference. So that will total up to 17.5 out of 25, and that will give MacDonald Stadium and Callahan Field collectively a 70 on a scale of 100, which is pretty decent, honestly. There's nothing bad about it. It's just okay. And I think that's perfectly fine. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head back towards the T station. I'm going to head down Pleasant Street, and we're going to go to Wallace Park, and we're going to see how that is today. And there is the 101 bus, which I am roughly trying to follow today. I'm sure I'll get on it at some point. This is a relatively busy crossing without a light. Yes, there's some cars, not a ton of cars, but there is no crossing light if you're going across the street here, which is very interesting to me. That is a really cool building right there. I believe I have arrived. It's been about a little over 5-minute walk from the Malden Center stop on the T, and it's actually really nice. There's the sign denoting the park name. The only one as far as I can tell, and here's the park. Pretty cute. Aside from a statue, we got a very hilly, cobbled look to Wallace Park. This is very interesting. I'm curious. My curiosity is further piqued by the sudden ending of this path. Other than that, not much to say about Wallace Park. It's cute. There's nowhere to sit. Also, we do have a nice little perimeter wall, which is very cute. This is a very charming park. I do like this stump. I don't know the story. I kind of like to know the story. Almost looks like the stone is an inscription prop to it. I suppose it's so littered, but I really think this is why everyone says New England's pretty in the fall. Like, this is really gorgeous. Leaf peeping. So based on the inscription on the little plaque down there, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, this might be the very first monument I've ever seen, knowingly, that's in dedication to Spanish-American War heroes. Also, because of their size and proximity, I am combining Wallace Park with the nearby Harris Delta for my ratings, because they're functionally the same. So for access, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's a just over 5-minute walk from the T station, but it's pretty straightforward, straight away. You know, I did complain about that crosswalk. That was not something you'd have to go through if you're coming from the T station. So really nice access, nice park. I'm about to cross the street to Harris Delta. This is the corner of Pleasant Street and Highland Ave. There's the Delta. There's Wallace Park. So this is St. James Doherty Square, but Harris Delta. And there we are now at a World War I. These two parks really complement each other nicely, even though they're both small. Like, I love the pathways up at Wallace Park over there. And then you see this, you see the benches here, this nice little smooth pathway rather than that cobbled pathway. They really complement each other well. Like the little flowers here at Harris Plaza. It's actually kind of nice. Sit on the bench. It's really not a bad view. Yeah. It's very peaceful. Very New England, not gonna lie. It really is a charming park here. It's just small and it can get boring quickly, but I could totally see sitting on this bench and just chilling. For area, I'm gonna give Wallace Park and Harris Delta collectively a 3.25 out of 5. Still not a huge fan of Malden, but it's actually been a peaceful walk over here. Not too bad, nice, and it's right next to what Google tells me is a local middle school. Very peaceful area. Nothing to write home about, but very peaceful. And I guess there is that beautiful, charming New England aspect to it. For ambiance, I'm going to give Wallace Park and Harris Delta a 3.75. This is fall, so that is a little impacting it, but I'm trying to be season neutral. But the fall leaves combined with those cobbled paths going uphill in Wallace Park, absolutely gorgeous, very New England, very charming. And there's lots of flowers on both sides for the memorials, which add to the character and charm of the place. There's also a nice little painted utility box. 3.75 out of 5 for ambiance. Amenities is where we're going to take a big hit. 2. It's a 2. I mean, there's a couple paths. The cobbled paths are really nice and cool. I guess you count the flowers as amenity. I don't know. And there's 2 benches total, both on the Harris Delta side, not really facing the very pretty Wallace Park. So it's hard to give it more than a 2, as much as I'd want to. It's a small park, and that is one of those unfortunate things, that small parks are going to get hit pretty hard by the amenities category, because they don't offer many, by design. For personal preference, I'm going to have to go with 3.25. It's gorgeous. I love it. I'd love to just sit here and chill, although the bench location isn't very good for where I'd want to look out at sitting and chilling. But it's still pretty. It's nice, especially on a fall day like this. I like it. 3.25. Very charming park. So if you add all of those numbers up, we get a 16.75 out of 25, which on a 100-point scale comes out to a 67, which is the worst so far, but still pretty good, especially considering this is the first small park we've been to, and small parks should really be kind of judged separately because they're going to have a lot of lower amenity values and even in some sense preference values. So I think this is actually a pretty strong rating for a small park. Next, I'm going to walk further down Pleasant Street towards the Fellsway and Fellsmere Park. So I'm on Prospect Street right now, and I'm going to admit it's a bit of a climb, kind of getting reminders of San Francisco here. Crossing these roads like the Fellsway is always tough. There it is, Fellsmere Park. It's on the National Register of Historic Places, which is actually kind of cool. And of course, Olmsted, and Elliott Basket Park. Found a trash can, which is usually one of the first things to look for. So coming off the first athletic park, first small park, now we get our first wooded park. Really branching out today at Malden. It's very quiet here at Fellsmere Park. It's peaceful. I like it. I'm walking around right now on this little path. So I'm now at a primary entrance to Fellsmere Park, and I went through the park to get here, but till I got to the park, it was maybe about another 5-ish minutes from Harris Delta, which is probably about 5 minutes from the T station. So from Malden Center overall, it's probably about 10 to 15 minute walk, maybe more like 15. A little hilly, but I think if you go a different way, you probably could avoid that. So I'm going to give it a 3.75 out of 5 for access. Pretty solid. It's a bit far away, but that also makes it a little more peaceful, and that's how you get this kind of more wildlife feel. It's hard to do that right next to a train station, of course. I'm here waiting for the 101 bus, just down on the Fellsway. It's certainly close, like a 2-3 minute walk. It's a little uphill. The reason I'm going to leave the access rating the same is instead just because if you have to transfer to a bus to get there, it's really not super convenient. So I'm going to stick with 3.75, which is still a pretty good rating for access from Fellsmere Park. Indeed, here it is. Fellsmere Park, trash can, porta potty. You know, I've always known that Brookline does parks really well, but here it actually looks like Malden is doing parks really well too. I mean, yes, they're not formal bathrooms, but porta potties are still a way to use the restroom, which is still important and not true at all parks. So I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this. Have to love the fall foliage. I just absolutely have to love it here. I'm walking up from Savin Street, and when I was down towards the pond, I noticed this little overlook area, and I wanted to see what it was all about, because there is a path that goes right up here. You have to come all the way out to get back to it, or through the woods, I think. Well, this is a pretty beautiful view. So following this path, it does kind of go into the woods. I really love parks that take advantage of hills like this. So cool. This is seriously a nice park. Oh, and the path splits. Wow. I'm planning on going this way, but you can actually see there is a path this way. The leaves hide it well, but not well enough for me. And just when I thought this park couldn't get any more interesting, look at this. They really make an effort to have these overlooks. So here is a bench for another overlook. This park is kind of bench poor, but there's not many people here, and there's plenty of benches down on that side. So I think it's fine. Taking a seat on the bench. Another pretty view. Very peaceful. So they follow the inner path up, but this is clearly the path back down towards the pond. It doesn't actually stick with the pond after I split from it. It actually comes away. This is a later voiceover because I didn't want to bother the ducks. But I'm about to switch sides of the park, as you'll see in a minute. We've got benches, we even got sheltered benches down there in the distance. Beautiful pond, lots of paths. But I'm going to leave a good amount of footage of ducks just standing there, and hopefully we can just all enjoy the cuteness of the ducks. For area, I'm going to go with a 4.0 out of 5. It's a bit further away from Malden Center. It's very peaceful out here, more residential. Aside from the Fellsway itself being kind of annoying to cross, it's really nice. And I'd say 4 out of 5 is a perfect spot for area for this part of Malden. Now, ambiance is where Fellsmere Park really shines. 4.5 out of 5, which is the highest I've given yet. And that's because it's absolutely gorgeous here. The pond, there's a lot of ducks. It's several views and changing elevations, as well as the trees and leaves, staircases. Really, really, really something you want to see. I'm absolutely amazed by this place. 4.5 out of 5 for ambiance, and I almost feel like I should make it higher, but I won't. For amenities, I'm going to go with a 3.75 out of 5. There is a porta potty at the very beginning of the park, although it's a pretty big park, so it's not necessarily super accessible, and it's not a full restroom, but it's something, and that's majorly convenient. It has a really, really nice path network. And Fellsmere Park also has quite a few benches, not on a bench to path density, say like Griggs Park, but that's okay, because this is more of a park where you're going to walk around a bit, and then you can find a nice little bench. And the benches are really well placed. You get nice overlooks of the water. It's actually just gorgeous here, and I'm very impressed. Nothing special in terms of amenities, like playground-wise or anything, which is about what you'd expect from this kind of park. But the path network's amazing. Good amount of benches. Even have covered benches and a porta potty. Perfect 3.75 out of 5. Lastly, preference. I am taken aback by Fellsmere Park. The wildlife is so many ducks. I love it. It is fall again. Fall really does give you perks in New England because the trees are so beautiful. But the pond is nice. The pathways are intricate and detailed, go through the woods while also having ones that aren't as much through the woods and right next to the pond. Benches with great views, difference in elevation, hills. I really like it. Not the most accessible, but I love this kind of park. It's very nice to take a walk, to go in the woods just a little bit. 4.25 out of 5. Absolutely a great park. So if you add up those ratings for Fellsmere Park, that gives this beautiful park in Malden 20.25 out of 25. And from there, we can extrapolate an 81 out of 100, which is very impressive, especially for a park with so few amenities that isn't right next to a T-stop. It's a very strong grade, and I'm very impressed by Fellsmere Park. It's very lovely. The pond is really nice. Maybe I'm just a sucker for water views, but between the wildlife and the paths, I really like this place. As it started to rain a bit, it's getting a little later. I'm gonna stop here, but I had a great time. I hope you all learned something cool and loved exploring these parks as much as I did. Thank you for coming with me as I went to MacDonald Stadium, Callahan Park, Harris Delta, Wallace Park, and Fellsmere Park. I hope you join me again as I continue to take a walk in the Boston parks.
Look at these ducks.